It is the 25th of the 8th, 2025. One topic on the docket today, and that's Sir Lewis Hamilton's Instagram post where he's talked about, amongst many other things, truth, looking after himself, coming back. Now, the broader context is this, that Lewis Hamilton's underperformance season to date has been loud. 14 rounds in the books, not a podium in sight. Sir Lewis Hamilton fans, stans, extremists, fundamentalists alike are pulling out their hair quite literally at this bloody point. This is Sir Lewis Hamilton, for Pete's sake. GOAT settings, Mount Rushmore of the F1 Hall of Fame, first round ballot. His levels extend him some time. They say he's got to acclimatise, rigidity of the suspension or lack thereof at the rear, doesn't have it, and therefore is half the driver that he could be, that he will be once he gets all those things in line. But bloody, you know what, I can't do it. I can't do it at this point. Let me tell you why. In Lewis Hamilton's Instagram post, he talks optimistically, performative action, some will say. Let's read out the words and then we'll react to them. I'm always so grateful, says Sir Lewis Hamilton, for this time, the summer break, for the opportunity to rest and recharge. There's a lot I've been meditating on. Every one of us is up against it so much, both individually and globally. He continues, quote, "It's so important that we embrace the light of truth." Everything else in there I agree. When he starts talking about truth, I'm like, you know what, Sir Lewis, let's be honest and frank. Put on our big boy shorts now. You can't handle the truth. I'm talking, not just talking to Sir Lewis Hamilton. I'm talking to Sir Lewis Hamilton fans, stans and extremists now. I don't think they can handle the truth. I'm not sure if I can, because here's what the truth is. Now the doom loop as far as pressure and expectation at Scuderia Ferrari is getting out of control. You've seen the posts. Here's what we're seeing. Aura. La Gazzetta Ferrari using the verbiage of Sir Lewis Hamilton stands now against him. This is what aura looks like, they say, because Michael Schumacher came. It took him a while to get his feet underneath the Scuderia Ferrari table. But once he did it, 5 championships, he won. This is the Tifosi, and they expect Italy's team to win. Oh, and by the way, in October of this year, there will be people who have lived on this earth 18 years, adults full grown, who will have never seen Ferrari Scuderia, a red car with a yellow badge and a black prancing Corsa top, win a championship. And this is what it looked like then. They won't even know those times. And that's why the pressure cooker is dialing up to 12. Truth, you say, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Here's my truth as I interpret it. And again, on this channel, what we won't do is sacrifice truth value, nor objectivity at the altar of partisanship, nor any other cognitive dissonance worthy of the moniker. Here's my truth as I recall it. Earlier on this season, I remember Sir Lewis standing in front of the F40, putting his hand on the yellow badge with the black prancing Corsa top in front of 7 open windows, Enzo Ferrari's house, and 1 closed door. I remember all of that hype, all of the madness and furore that came as far as the Instagram post. I recall that John Elkann said, listen, yeah, the marketing upside is positive. Of course it is, but it's a nice to have a byproduct. What we're invested in is victory. Nothing sells a brand like silverware. I remember that. I remember Sir Lewis a couple seasons ago in the midst of porpoising saying about his team, why would you say that my team might not design themselves a car in the W13? My team don't make mistakes. So too, I recall Sir Lewis Hamilton saying that I'm going to stay at Mercedes for the rest of my career. So too, I recall Sir Lewis at the start of this season when asked about the very many plates, the multitudinous plates and tasks as far as his logistics and bandwidth demands, that he was only here not to focus on his 8th Drivers' Championship, but his first for Ferrari. The follow-up question sounded something like this. How are you gonna continue with those altruistic philanthropic endeavours? Lewis's response was, I'm not. I'm only here to win races and get Ferrari to where they need to be to win races and therefore championships. Since then, I recall, if we're talking about truth value and objectivity, I recall that Sir Lewis is around the houses committing to opening Fanatics stores. I recall seeing Sir Lewis at the Met Gala. So too, I recall, as far as my truth, seeing Sir Lewis at the F1 movie. Now, F1 fans will say, well, all the other drivers do it. Carlos Sainz and George Russell at Wimbledon, etc. But none of the other drivers that we're talking about there are 40 years old. Lewis could do all this stuff when he was 30, 35, do you know what I mean? And he had all this excessive bandwidth spare that meant that he could jump in the car in 2018 in Singapore and do one of the goatiest laps that you'll ever see. But by dint of the fact that we are 14 rounds in the books, no podiums, no race victories to be seen from Sir Lewis, barely gets out of Q2 these days, 42 points adrift of his teammate, who, by the way, is driving the same car. Yes, Charles Leclerc is a fire-breathing dragon, point to point, some say the quickest on the grid, but yet and still, lest we forget, Sir Lewis Hamilton settings, GOAT settings, 7 times settings. This is chaos. And now Ivan Capelli does one of these and starts to turn the screw. 1-time Ferrari driver. He speaks to this point on the day that Sir Lewis Hamilton posts that on Instagram, talking about the light of truth. How very dirty. Here's what Capelli has told Gazzetta dello Sport. Lewis Hamilton can no longer do it. I saw him lose those smiles, the smile in his eyes. What was his strength? That was that he could take a team by the hand in difficult moments. He can no longer do it. And he has now realised it. Quote, especially with such a fast teammate sat there next to him. No kidding, Sherlock. Now, when ex-Ferrari bods are coming out and speaking about this in these terms, just the same way Luca Montezemolo came out and spoke about the leadership or lack thereof at Ferrari, that makes you know that we have Houston. We have a problem. This is DEFCON 1 now. Capelli continues. He's living a sort of double life. Away from the tracks, he's the usual Sir Lewis, the 7-time champion we know. But once in the car, he can't find an answer to his driving problems. Lewis can still give something to Ferrari. To think that he will close the season like this is inconceivable. It's not easy at all. However, Lewis is now aware that he can't adapt to the SF25 and even the working methods at Ferrari. You recall, if we're talking truth, Lewis said it is nonsense. It makes no sense the way that they're setting up the car in Canada. Ivan Capelli continues. Ferrari are probably far from what he was what he was used to, in the Mercedes. This is the acclimatization process. We talked about that ad infinitum, and I'm not going to labour the point that Lewis is used to carbon industry, and now it is Brembo, the discs and the pads. He's used to a different level of engine torque as versus what he's trying to get used to in the Ferrari. Capelli continues, at this point, the only wild card that Hamilton can play for is 2026, a totally new car with new rules and where everyone starts on an equal footing. And that's why you're seeing all of these documents go into the likes of Scuderia Ferrari's engineers, the C-suite exec level bods in John Elkann, etc. Lewis Hamilton needs to now go overweight in 2026 and put all of his eggs in that basket, because this is a write-off. 42 points behind Charles Leclerc is a disaster. Again, for any other driver, if you're talking Carlos or you're going to talk about, I don't know, an Alex Albon or anybody else, then it's different, right? But if you're a 7-time champion, and this is the context, this is the legacy of victory, almost in perpetuity, that you come to Scuderia Ferrari with. Now that comes with a level of expectation, which at the moment, season to date, is not being met. Truth, I hear you say, Sir Lewis, Carl Davidson, Hamilton. Well, I would put forth my supposition as follows. My principal point of contention is this. I'm not sure that Sir Lewis, season to date, can handle the truth.